Stay Wavy TV.
David Benavidez very well could get exposed this weekend when he takes on Anthony Yarde this Saturday at light heavyweight. This will be David Benavidez's third fight at light heavyweight. The first fight was against Gvozdyk. His second fight was against David Morrell. But the difference between Anthony Yarde and Gvozdyk and David Morrell is Anthony Yarde is punching. Okay, this guy's a knockout artist. He's a natural light heavyweight, and you know he's shown that when you put him in there with the top guys at light heavyweight, he can give them some problems, okay? He had a competitive fight against Artur Beterbiev where, you know, it looked like at one point he was actually going to beat Artur Beterbiev, and then he ended up getting knocked out in the later rounds. And then you look at his other fight against Kovalev, he had some success early in the fight, got stopped in that fight as well, right? Now, most people just think that David Benavidez is going to walk through Anthony Yarde. But based off of his first two performances at light heavyweight, I don't know how people could expect that. It's clear as day that David Benavidez's power has not translated to 175. Now that he's fighting guys that's either the same size as him or bigger than him, he's not just in there overpowering them, bullying them, knocking them out, you know, walking them down. Now we're seeing these light heavyweights walk David Benavidez down, land the harder punches on David Benavidez, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, the reason why is because David Benavidez does not take care of his body. Let me explain. When David Benavidez is not fighting, he blows up in weight. Go look at the first press conference that they had when this fight between Benavidez and Anthony Yarde was first announced. You will notice that David Benavidez's face was very puffy because he was overweight, okay? And also, if you guys look at David Benavidez, right? Every time you see David Benavidez at a weigh-in, you never notice David Benavidez puts on muscle. You never see it. He didn't do it at 168. He's not doing it at 175. And when you're fighting at light heavyweight with guys that are bigger, that are more muscular, that are punching harder, if you're not working on your strength and conditioning and you're not putting on muscle, you are going to have problems, you know, getting respect from your opponents. David Benavidez was dropped by David Morrell in his last fight. Did he win the fight by unanimous decision? Yes. Did the judges pretty much score the fight like he dominated? Yes. But what happens when you get in there with an even bigger puncher like an Anthony Yarde? Anthony Yarde is very strong, very muscular. He sits down on his punches. His biggest flaw is his stamina. Once it gets past round 5, you start to see Anthony Yarde get very tired. He stops moving around, and he will literally stand in the middle of the ring, or he would just stand on the ropes and just slug it out for the rest of the fight, okay? Because he just has too much muscle on his body, which causes him to tire out very fast, okay? So what I'm pretty much saying is, if Anthony Yarde does not knock out David Benavidez before 6 rounds, David Benavidez is most likely going to win this fight by unanimous decision. But we are going to see if David Benavidez's chin holds up at light heavyweight. We're going to see. We're going to find out, because I'm predicting Anthony Yarde to either knock out Benavidez or at least drop Benavidez one time, at least, okay? I'm predicting that. You know, will it happen? We'll wait and see this Saturday. But I want to see, is David Benavidez finally going to show us the Mexican monster that he was showing us at 168? Like, what happened to the David Benavidez that knocked out Demetrius Andrade? What happened to the David Benavidez that stopped Anthony Durrell? What happened to the David Benavidez that was literally just putting an ass whooping on Caleb Plant? We have not seen that at light heavyweight. We haven't seen it. And what I'm noticing is at what point is David Benavidez going to start putting on some muscle? When is he going to say, you know what? Let me put down the burritos. Let me put down the tacos. Let me put down the pizza and the chicken wings. And let me start lifting weights. Let me take care of my diet when I'm not fighting. Let me stop blowing up in weight. When are we going to see that from David Benavidez? Because I'm going to tell you this. If the same version of David Benavidez that fought Morrell, if that David Benavidez shows up against Anthony Yarde this Saturday, I'm telling you, he will get knocked out. I'm just keeping it real. Because that version of David Benavidez is not going to hurt Anthony Yarde. Anthony Yarde is going to come forward. He will walk down David Benavidez. And if Benavidez doesn't want to go backwards, they will stand in the middle of the ring and have a slugfest. And if I was to predict who's going to go down first, it's David Benavidez. Anthony Yarde has been at light heavyweight for years. Once again, he's a natural light heavyweight. Dude's brolic, dude's muscular, and he's punching. He's a knockout artist, okay? By the way, this is Anthony Yarde's last opportunity to become an elite champion at light heavyweight. If he loses this fight against David Benavidez, his boxing career is pretty much over, okay? He came up short against Kovalev. He came up short against Artur Beterbiev. Now he's going in there with David Benavidez. He knows that if he loses this fight, it's over. And he also knows that if he wins this fight, he will officially become a champion at 175. He will be considered an elite boxer at 175, and he will get the biggest payday of his career. Let's just call it what it is. Dudes are going to look at him as the boogeyman at 175. He'll put himself in position to possibly get a rematch with Artur Beterbiev to redeem himself. He'll put himself in position to get a fight against Dimitri Bivol for that championship title. Okay? And I don't think Anthony Yarde is going to take this fight for granted. So Anthony Yarde could possibly expose David Benavidez for not being the monster that he claims to be. As a matter of fact, if Anthony Yarde wins this fight, it'll further prove that David Benavidez was weight bullying at 168. Let's just call it what it is. David Benavidez is about 6'4", okay? He was a lot taller than everybody else at 168. He had longer arms than everybody at 168. And that's part of the reason why Canelo Alvarez didn't want to fight David Benavidez, because there's just too many disadvantages. The disadvantages is number one, age, number two, height, and, you know, it was just too risky of a fight for Canelo. Let's be honest. If Terrence Crawford moved up 2 weight classes and beat Canelo, David Benavidez probably would have stopped Canelo. Let's just call it what it is. He probably would have knocked him out. Okay? So, listen, man. I want people to understand this, right? Shout out to my dog Marco Boxing. He thinks that I don't like Benavidez. I'm actually a David Benavidez fan as far as boxing, okay? David Benavidez is one of my favorite fighters. If you want me to be honest, he's in my top 5. The reason why I'm so critical of David Benavidez is because just because I'm a fan of a boxer doesn't mean that I'm gonna kiss your ass and just think that you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. No, I hold my fighters accountable, okay? And what I'm doing is I'm holding David Benavidez accountable because he's not living up to his standard. We've seen the best version of David Benavidez and what he can do at 168. We have not seen that at 175. We have not seen that same dominating Benavidez at 175. Let's be honest. His first fight against Gvozdyk, did he win by unanimous decision? Yes. But the fact of the matter is this. He did not hurt Gvozdyk at any point in that fight. From round 1 to 12, Benavidez didn't hurt him at all. Okay? The fight with Benavidez and Morrell had a lot of success in that fight. He dropped Benavidez, gave Benavidez some problems, had his face looking crazy after the fight. Okay? Benavidez did not dominate Morrell. He just beat him. Let's just call it what it is. And for Morrell, who only has what? He only had what? 13 or maybe 16 fights when he fought Benavidez. Benavidez should have stopped him. So I'm just holding Benavidez accountable, okay? He might get exposed this Saturday, or he might shock the world. He might stop Yarde, you know, which it wouldn't be shocking. I think, you know, it's funny. I think most people are expecting Benavidez to stop Yarde, but I don't think so. If you couldn't stop Morrell and if you couldn't stop Gvozdyk, I highly doubt he stops Yarde. You know, the only way I can see Benavidez stopping Yarde is if he gasses out and Benavidez is just throwing a bunch of combinations and the referee stops the fight, you know? So with that being said, that's my prediction. Let me know what you guys think. It's your boy Wavy, Stay Wavy TV. Make sure y'all subscribe, thumbs up the video, share the video, leave a comment. I'm out.
Stay wavy, signing out. Ride the tide, no doubt. From the rooftop glow to the neon cloud. You tapped in, so I gotta say love. Like, subscribe, keep the motion above. Until the next wave, we out. Peace.